Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Texas Rangers franchise here on MLB 21 The Show. So to start off today's episode, we've got the MLB draft. So here's what our draft looks like. Our first round pick, Andres Angel, was absolutely amazing. I honestly think that he could make our major league roster at the end of next season, come up and be kind of a September call-up type of guy. Fletcher Logan and Chester Sawyer are two guys who will probably be big contributors to our bullpen, hopefully in the future, and those top three picks were amazing additions where we really needed them. I said at the start of this franchise that I wanted to get some better pitching, and we got three quality prospects. I know that the second and third round picks are both closers, but one of those guys is probably going to be moved as a more traditional reliever role. And then down at the bottom, Townsend, Cruz, and Hummel, they aren't necessarily expected to be like great contributors for the future, but they'll be there. Hopefully they can maybe exceed their potential early on. Now, moving on to the Major League roster. So, Nate Lowe started off the season terribly, so I sent him down to AAA before June, and then we called up Ronald Guzman. And over the month of June, we weren't great. We are now 2 games below 500, sitting at 4th in the division at 41-43. And looking at our stats, overall, our guys have just started to do a little bit worse. Ronald Guzman was really good when we called him up, and I'm going to go more in depth into that in a moment, but everybody else hasn't been great. Isaiah Falefa has started to pick it up. Nick Solak has left a lot to be desired, and Joey Gallo and Willie Calhoun are now struggling. And then looking at our starting pitching, it hasn't been terrible. Kyle Gibson and Dane Dunning have been half decent. Mike Folty and Kohei Arihara have really struggled. And then in the bullpen, I really like what Hernandez, Rodriguez, and Martin have been doing. And then Jose Leclerc, we're going to talk a little bit more about him later. Just wish he could do better. And Matt Bush was just recently called up because one of our starters went to the 60-day DL. Now, looking at Jose Leclerc, I decided to upgrade his walks per nine just a little bit because I feel like it's much more realistic. If you look at his stats over the course of his career, walks have become less and less of a problem as he's gotten more and more strikeouts over the year, if you exclude 2020, in which he only pitched like 2 innings. And as of right now, he's thrown the 3rd most walks in his career in any season, so I think this boost is fairly justified. If we do trade him, he'll probably be moved in next year's deadline, considering we have him under contract for like the next 3 years. One more move we made before we get into the game for this episode is we also sent down Adolis Garcia. He sucked complete butt cheeks, and Leody Taveras, was performing pretty nicely in AAA, so he's going to get called up. But now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the game for this episode. So just before the All-Star break, we've got a game here from the Detroit Tigers going up against the Texas Rangers. Mike Folty, the former Atlanta Brave, on the bump for the Rangers. He'll be taking on Joey Wentz, both of which have had rough starts to the year. So we're going to go ahead and start this one off in the bottom of the second. Charlie Culberson up, first batter of the inning for the Rangers, as he'll send that one into the right field corner. It'll get down, allowing Culberson to get a lead-off double. Then after a David Dahl grounds out, move him over to third. Nate Lowe comes up to the plate in his first game back after spending the last month raking in AAA. He'll send that one into center field, getting in with a 1-out double, scoring Culberson from third as the Rangers take an early 1-0 lead. Now Candelario up as Folty's on the bump. He gets him swinging for the second out of the top of the third. However, the rest of the inning would not be as easy, as there the runner swipes second as Robbie Grossman now up at the plate, man on second, 2 outs. Grossman sends that one into left field. It hangs in the air just long enough to score the runner from second, so the Tigers come in and tie this one up. However, it wouldn't be done there as Willie Castro takes the 0-2 pitch, sends it into the right center field gap as that one gets down, allowing the runners to move on to second and third. As now Wilson Castro, the catcher, comes up to the plate. The 1-0 pitch, still 2 men out in the inning, as he'll send that one back up the middle into center field, scoring both of the runners and giving the Tigers an early 3-1 lead. Now later on in the bottom of the fourth, 1 man on, David Dahl at the plate as Dahl sends that one into the left field gap as that one gets down. Sadly, the runner held up, so they can't score there, but now runners will be on second and third as Nate Lowe comes up to the plate. And Nate Lowe now 3-1, still nobody out in this inning. Swinging sends that one to the second baseman. It'll be a ground out. However, Nate Lowe in his first game back registers 2 RBIs. However, that would be all the Rangers would be able to get in that inning. As now Fulte, after letting up 3 runs early, he would start dealing. Gets the strikeout there, and then Robbie Grossman now same inning, swings and misses at the fastball there, as that will end the 5th inning. Now in the top of the 6th, I'm sorry, Willie Castro on the 0-2 pitch can't get through that slider. Next batter up is Wilson Ramos. Both of these guys had hits earlier in the game, but now they're being sent down, both on sliders there, as now 2 out. And then the last batter, Renato Nunez in the inning, he'll go down swinging on that slider. That's 3 sliders to strike out the side in the top of the 6th. As now later on, Gregory Soto comes in relief, trying to close out this Rangers team. However, Willie Calhoun would have different plans. He goes opposite field there, getting runners on first and second with nobody out. And now Joey Gallo up at the plate, as Gallo trying to bring them home, but he can't do it. He'll go down swinging to the sinker there. That had to be upsetting. However, Charlie Culberson, who's had a great game, continues there as he'll send that one into center field. It'll score the second base runner, as now the Rangers have tied this one up in the bottom of the 8th, as Tariq Skubal comes in to try to ease the bleeding here, as there's only 1 out. Now David Dahl at the plate, as Dahl sends that one into center field, and it gets down and bounces off of the center fielder, so Willie Calhoun decides to go home, and he'll score standing up, as the Rangers have come back and have taken the lead in this one. As now runners on the corners, Eli White sends that one back up to center field, as he'll score one more insurance run as the Rangers take the 5-3 lead. As now Jose Leclerc is brought in to try and close this thing out. He's had a rough season so far. However, here he looked great. He gets Nunez down on strikes on the slider again, and then the final batter of the game goes down swinging to the slider, as the Texas Rangers get the big comeback win. This is exactly the type of win this team has needed, as they've begun to struggle and fall in the standings. It was a nice game, especially for Charlie Culberson. Hunter Wood, who was brought in, but I didn't show any clips of him, does get credited with the win, and Gregory Soto will get the loss. As well as Jose Leclerc finally gets his first save of the season. He's usually been a setup guy for us, so it's nice to see him, working back in that closer role. But anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.